with us Colonel R. Hariharan. He was the head of the intelligence of Indian peacekeeping force in Sri Lanka from 1987 to 1990. He is an acclaimed commentator on the affairs of Sri Lanka as well as China. Welcome to Reason, the New Indians platform where we get to the reason of the issues that concern you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So let me begin with the most obvious question. The crisis that has unfolded in Sri Lanka, was it inevitable, especially to experts like you who's spent a lot of time in Sri Lanka? You served in the Indian Army as well, and you've been looking at China and Sri Lanka very closely. Was the situation in Sri Lanka inevitable?
Actually, it is a clash between a new generation of politicians who have not established their identity and about 2 dozen families which had been ruling Sri Lanka from various parties. Actually, it's a generational conflict. So the younger generation is tech savvy, socially empowered, very well informed, unlike the wheeler dealer politicians who have been running the country. So it is, you can say, iconoclastic, the new generation. They don't believe in just because a man is established in politics, he is a great man. They want to reset the constitution, make it more sensitive to the aspirations of the people, and it is amalgam of two, three streams of thoughts. So inevitably there would be a conflict within them. Already we can see the cracks are establishing, but it is a welcome thing in a way because all over the world the younger people are getting empowered.
So you are saying the Rajapaksa regime in Sri Lanka is not to be blamed because it's an intergenerational thing. There is technology, youth are aware, and they don't really believe in established dynasties or established political families. And Rajapaksas are not to be blamed.
Not at all. Rajapakshas are very much to be blamed. They had adopted underhand means to amass wealth, ignore criminal activity of their pals. Actually, they carried out selective killings also. And secondly, he made no effort to take advantage of the ethnic peace which was ushered in after 25 years of ethnic conflict between Tamils and Sinhalese. This was he had all the advantage because he was hailed as a hero who defeated Prabhakaran. He won a thumping majority, particularly Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the man who was fled now. He had all this advantage, but he opted for Buddha Sasana. He says this is the only country for protecting Theravada Buddhism. So everybody, country will be run according to that. When he failed to deliver his promises of better living condition, that is the COVID and his mishandling of economic policies. You can add China's intervention also to this maladies. It bounced back on him. So this was the man who won the thumping majority. He could not sustain for more than 3 years because he had no plan B to take on unexpected things.
Let me recall the fact that Gotabaya Rajapaksa, when he came to power, uh, he actually sought economic assistance from India. Do you think he failed at maintaining an equilibrium between India and China, and he tilted more towards China instead of, maintaining a balance?
The China was actually firmed in during his brother's tenure. China had got the Hampantota project and the Colombo projects, all this during that period. In Sri Lanka, the India did not intervene earlier years. India has a lot of influence because of common culture, food, religion, everything is almost the same. But India did not cash on this in our neighborhood when earlier till Prime Minister Narendra Modi introduced neighborhood policy first in 2014. Can you believe? In 12 years, he was the first Prime Minister to visit Sri Lanka.
Yes.
He was the first Prime Minister to visit Jaffna after Jawaharlal Nehru went in, I think, 1932 or something. There are many firsts that has been done. So the India overcame this advantage China had because already China, by a lot of underhand means, China had firmed in because it was giving bank credit liberally, which whereas India and Japan were giving only grant in aid, which was around 2%, whereas China was adding 10 more percent. So the big ticket projects, for instance, actually I had asked President Mahinda Rajapaksa when he invited me for a discussion on this Hampantota project, why it was given to China. He said, we offered it to India. We waited for 1 year. India didn't pick up. When I checked up, India said it is, India had carried out a survey. India found it is uneconomical, which has come true now. So, but there was not that kind of communication which exists now. And another thing is, Sri Lankan armed forces are largely trained by India. A lot of initiative has been taken. So I think this has whittled down the China's influence. Even now, first thing, Rajapaksa, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa did as soon as he came to power, he came to Delhi and assured whatever happens, Sri Lanka will never allow any measures against India's security because geo, geophysically, geostrategically also, Sri Lanka is a continuation of the Indian southern landmass. That means in military terms, it is the vanguard. Vanguard is the frontmost echelon of troops, which will bear the brunt of any operation. So any operation in Indian ocean, Sri Lanka will bear, even if it is against India. This being a military man, he has realized that there is a great awareness among Sri Lankans of this security aspect. I remember President Mahinda Rajapaksa told me, India is our elder brother, China is a friend. India is here, China is 2000 kilometers away. That is the perspective across the board in Sri Lanka. There is an anti-China, anti-India element in every
Mhm.
party, which comes into fore for petty gains during brownie points during elections, or when India dominates or dictates terms.
Do you think that Sri Lanka or Sri Lankan protesters or people on the streets today really have a pro India sentiment?
Why you want to see it in black and white? It is not. pro-India or anti-India. Like we are not pro-Sri Lanka or anti-Sri Lanka. You see the kind of sentiment in Pakistan is much of it is contrived. Because it has been historically cultivated anti-Indian sentiment. Because we have so much common things also, right from the food we eat, the way we think, family life. Like Nepal, you take Nepal, there is a small element of, uh, because Nepalese feel sometimes that Indians are bossing around. Same feeling comes in Sri Lanka. So it is not, uh, it is to score brownie points when two leaders are contesting.
Do you think that Hamban Tota was not really a project of the string of pearls, which we think, was is a Chinese project to, in a way, corner India? Do you think Hamban Tota did not have any of that agenda inbuilt in it?
You see this string of pearls is an American commentator's construction. I don't believe in that. The string of pearls can be taken piecemeal by India. The string can be broken because it is close to us rather than to China. China, it will take some more years to become world's number one sea power. Our Navy, I will give you a simple example. Indian Navy had been operating aircraft carriers for more than 60 years. India had been operating, whereas China has not carried out fleet operation with aircraft carrier beyond its environment. That is, it has not entered the Indian Ocean. Of course, we have a disadvantage now because Chinese ships are streaming down all the time in Indian Ocean.
You said that India did a survey, proper survey on Hamban Tota, and we found that it was not economically viable, and we've been proven correct. As we can see how the situation unfolded in Sri Lanka after the pandemic. So my question is that why were Rajapaksa so keen on this? And if it was not viable, why did Chinese invest in it?
Actually, the Chinese interest is twofold because it is the Hambantot's location. It dominates the sea lanes between the, the Atlantic and the Pacific through the Indian Ocean. So strategically, it gives China a foothold to watch the traffic, even if they are not militarily informed, to control traffic, repair, refit ships. During wartime, these come in handy. And Chinese resources, energy resources like ours, pass through Ampantota. That is geographically, it is very important. It
So
will be
what you're
short.
saying
Uh,
what you're saying is essentially that in our immediate neighborhood, even as Sri Lanka has been open to China, Bangladesh has been open to Chinese investment, but it's essentially only Pakistan, which is a real adversary and which has caused us harm in the last 75 years. Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar, all the other South Asian and East Asian countries are not really our adversaries. Is that what you mean?
you are partly correct, except Myanmar. Unfortunately, Myanmar, we have not paid enough attention. In the British period, for I think till 1932, it was part of India. Indian administration, British colonial administration administered Burma, and Indian troops were stationed there. Policemen were Indians, though it gave a negative image of India. We had very close relations. After that, the military takeover in Myanmar, it cleared the pitch.
So, This situation in Sri Lanka at the moment, is it going to hamper BRI? Is it also going to hamper China's influence in Southeast Asia and South Asia? What would be the impact of the crisis in Sri Lanka on China and China's influence in the region?
This is a very important question. There are two things. I think there is a tacit recognition of by China that it cannot match India's advantages, overall advantage. Like we could rush grains, we could rush fertilizers. At a, you see, when the tsunami was there, in 3 hours, our naval ship was there. That's the time it takes. It takes 40 minutes from Chennai to reach Sri Lanka by a boat. So, why I am mentioning this is the China has recognized this. I think from the utterances, they say they actually made a though they make caustic statement, they made surprisingly mild statement. They say India is helping Sri Lanka. We welcome it. We should cooperate jointly, uh, help Sri Lanka overcome this. Whereas they have not given the money. They say
Yeah,
it is, we don't, these are agreements between banks. So we cannot, so moto, we cannot do anything. And they have given some 500 million yuan loan. It is, Sri Lanka has not progressed because high freight cost. It had bad experience with some of the Sri Lanka with Chinese products like organic fertilizers, and the projects are not yielding. You see the return, whereas they have to pay interest on these loans. The projects have not come up. There's a huge project, reclamation project in Colombo that has come. They are all dependent on India. Unless India invests, I am sorry to say, none of these projects will make money. 70% of the traffic in Colombo port is dependent on Indian container traffic. So they Sri Lanka knows this. Yeah.
Uh, my last question to you. On July 20th, we are going to see presidential elections in Sri Lanka. Do you think Ranil Wickremesinghe is going to come out as a winner? And what is the direction that Sri Lanka is headed towards? You think Sri Lanka will again become an authoritarian regime?
There are three aspects. There are three guys, including Ranil. There is Sajit Premadasa, who is the opposition leader, main opposition leader. And there is Alaperuma,
Yeah,
Dallas Alaperuma, who is the ruling party. That is the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, that has the maximum seats in parliament. So that will have either its candidate will have to be by either PM, Prime Minister, or President. I don't think President will be acceptable. Same thing, there's a lot of anti Ranil sentiment because he is bailing out Rajapaksa evidently. He has
yes,
he has they have together they have delayed the resignation letter. They have used the technicality of constitutional article 37(1). When the president is not in out of the country, you can nominate an acting president. Ranil has become an acting president and he is controlling everything now. So this doesn't gel well with the opposition parties which are suffering. Even Sri Lanka position of permanent, except for a faction, they do not want. So this Allah Peruma, Dulles has a chance, though he is not very experienced. He had a short tenure as a minister, but he had been a journalist. he can communicate, but nothing to match Ranil. Ranil is a past master. He has excellent uh, one-to-one relations with almost all leaders in India, UK, US, and so on. So it is ideally, I think he would be the one who would be able to steer the economic recovery. But ideal things don't happen in the world. The Sri Lankans are practical. It's a vibrant democracy. So I don't think politicians will allow, bring him and have another confrontation.
But you are saying that Sri Lanka will restore its democracy and they will emerge as a stronger democracy.
I have known Sri Lanka for 50 years. It's definitely they will do it.
Well, hope that the crisis gets resolved in Sri Lanka soon. Thank you so much for your time and this enlightening conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Aarti. Nice talking.
Thank you.